So how many people here have a Bluetooth smart beacon on them?
I do.
I know you do. You're on the panel. You better have one. I have like two, one in my wallet.
There you go, dude.
No, I got one here, you know. So these things are little radios. They spit 3 numbers into the air every second. They cost about $30 retail, down to about $5 wholesale. So if you are Walmart and you're going to buy 1,000 of them, you probably can get well under $10. They last for about 2 years on a coin battery. And your smartphone, your iPhone or your Android phone can tell how close it is to this thing. So it's good for stuff like this, tracker that lets me find my keys when my kids put it underneath the couch or something like that. But it's changing what we're going to think of as mobile apps when we go to a baseball stadium or a shopping mall or something like that. So that's what our panel is sort of going to touch on, but we're going to talk about sensors and other things as well. Could you each introduce yourselves, Jeff?
Sure. My name is Jeff Stevens. I'm with ContextM. You could also find me on Twitter at iBeaconMan. And I've been doing tracking systems since the late 80s. Qualcomm was the first to do it with their satellite tracking. And I'm very much involved in proximity detection now and mobile context, understanding what people are interested in, hopefully next, so we can bring them in that ambient, intelligent world what they're interested in.
You were the first CTO on Wall Street, I think.
I was. It was a lot of fun. It was back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I showed up there just when Sun Microsystems was coming to market with workstations. So I had the fun of being their largest customer at Merrill Lynch for a while, and building large-scale distributed computing and supercomputing on Wall Street.
I call it Steve.
Hi, my name is Steve Tsuruda. I'm with a company called Redstone Technologies. I don't know if you had a chance to peek at our website, but what we're bringing to the marketplace right now will change the entire global footprint and then shift a new paradigm of wireless connectivity. We're bringing a new wireless PHY, or physical layer, that replaces 802.11. And our technology will give you connectivity as far as you want to take it. You don't require any legacy systems to have devices connected. So for wearables, it unleashes you from a telco footprint, lets you have the devices talk amongst each other. You can deploy a fabric over a large wide area. And you can go into virgin areas where there's no connectivity and or electricity and deploy a full-blown gigabit wireless PHY. So we're taking the industry and moving it to a gigabit leap. And our company comes from research background for NASA and the military. My background has been in marketing. I've had over 9 startups, 3 have crashed and burned, but 6 very successful exits. And really excited to be involved in the wearables world and enabling the entire wearables community to be able to see the potential of being able to get things really, really precise everywhere they want to go, and to give them the ability now to build very rich, deep, engaging user experiences, leveraging our PHY.
Yeah, all my startups crashed and burned, so that's why I got to work at big companies. Yeah,
hey, I'm Hugo Fiennes from Electric Imp. Electric Imp makes a platform for people who make devices to connect them to the internet. So it's kind of like the easiest comparison is AWS for Internet of Things. It's all that back-end stuff you need if you want to make a connected device in a nice package. So it really helps people get stuff to market, and we take care of all the things which are awkward for device vendors, like security, ongoing security, and scalability and stuff like that.
So when I asked who has a smart Bluetooth beacon in their pocket, and very few of you answered that question, how many people have an iPhone with iOS 7 on it? Come on.
Oh, 8.
Honest. Or 8, yeah. You have an iOS 7 or 8. You already have a beacon in your pocket because there's one inside your iPhone. And most people don't know this. I've given 50 speeches, and I've only had one speech with even a handful of people who understood that they have a beacon in their pocket. And Apple is starting to show off how beacons are going to change even the lock screen. In iOS 8, when you walk into a Starbucks, for instance, or an Apple store, a little icon is going to show up on your lock screen showing that you're in a new place based on the beacon and on the place you're in. Where do you guys think that this beacon thing is going? I can give some theories about how Facebook might use this new capability, for instance, to build an automatic hashtag, or Twitter build an automatic hashtag, because you can see the density of devices in a room. And you can say, oh, this is a very high density environment. And it's certainly different than me being in a baseball field or in my house, right? There's a lot more devices within 50 meters of me right now than there would be in those places. So our social networks could change. You know, after this session, why doesn't Facebook say, hey, why don't you friend these people? You were hanging out with them for 25 minutes, right?
Well, there are a bunch of apps that are now emerging on the market that are peer-to-peer Bluetooth apps that are exactly that. They're the next generation of Highlight, if you will, right? And in fact, I think there's one upstairs that's showing on the 3rd floor. So we're beginning to see that right now. One of the issues with Bluetooth versus low-energy Bluetooth is the amount of energy the radios take, right? And some people are concerned that they're being tracked when they have their radios on all the time. So there's a number of issues, some hurdles that we still have to get past. But you know, you're asking about the sensors and who's using them. You know, Disney recently announced that they're spending $1 billion for their wearable and its infrastructure, and it's got 3 radios on it.
I'm going to switch your mic on over to the other side.
Oh, thank you. So that wearable has 2 RFIDs, a high frequency and UHF, and a 2.4 gigahertz ISM radio. So what they've been doing at Disney for years is trying to enrich our experiences when we go there. So they would have people that are looking in when part of an area is too crowded. They'll put a line of characters blocking off that part of the park. Now they have put up parabolic dishes that are looking at the density of the wearables, and that's how they decide where to automatically send a message to those characters to go and block off that part of the park. One other quick example that we're going to see a lot coming up next year is at gas stations. They make most of their money from the convenience side of the store. And there's going to be, and I think it's something like 65, 70% of all the gas pumps in the US are from one company. So it seems fairly straightforward, but here is one of the interesting issues as we go forward, is that they have to get permission of weights and measures department in every single town where they want to open up that pump and put in a Bluetooth. So they don't have to worry about FCC with unregulated. They have to worry about all the local people and getting them in. So there's hurdle rates that we have to deal with all over.
Yeah, somebody in my comments on Facebook yesterday said, I don't get why I care about beacons. And I think that's why Apple hasn't really talked about them with the public yet. What are the use cases? I mean, the Sacramento Kings just put 35 of these beacons around their stadium. What are the use cases that you're hearing about or that you're dreaming about or that you think the industry should be thinking about with these new beacons? Steve?
Yeah, one of the things we're looking at is not what's going on now, but that's what's coming out in the next 5, 6 years. We're looking at ways that we can get human communications down so that people are leveraging communications and access to technology via the human interface. So beacons will help people guide people around, guide technologies to those people to be able to allow them to interface with them because the majority of the world does not have access and is not used to using technology. So one of the things that the benefits of this would be is to guide them, to initiate them, to be able to sort of point them in the right direction in a non-invasive manner where they don't have to worry about typing or opening up a switch or a laptop, and they can move through their environment and interface, we call it with a human interface. So tactile things such as sight, sound, and everything else. So that is a real need that's going to be coming out on the horizon, and that technology will be folded into lots of other technologies to allow people to now become the interface versus technology trying to become that interface. And I believe that's a good position to be.
I think there was some other interesting stuff done back in, I think, the late 80s. There was the active badges. Olivetti had them in Cambridge, and that's where VNC came from. It was you sat down at your computer, and it knew it was you, and your desktop appeared on whatever computer you sat at, actually. So wherever you sat was your machine, everything exactly how you left it, which was kind of the promise of VNC, but actually making that automatic. I think there's a lot of things that happen as well beyond. I mean, iBeacons is generally the beacon broadcasts and a phone app does something. There's stuff that works the other way, like these Nike ones are actually discoverable at all times if you're not connected to them. So in our office we have some imps actually being a Wi-Fi and internet backhaul for beacons. So they're actually triangulating me, and we have like a CEO tracker which can tell where I am. Which is a little. I have to turn Bluetooth off if I don't want to be tracked. But I think there's bidirectional stuff. I don't think. I mean, it's right now it's very phone centric.
Yeah.
But the point is you have infrastructure, which is just tiny bits of data happening occasionally. And that can happen both ways. And it can be the passive thing where you have the Nest which really knows when you're at home or not, because if your wearable is at home, you don't have to press anything, there are no motion sensors, it's generally a very reliable detection method.
Yeah.
And if your pet's at home, if it has a whistle or whatever, the same thing. It's kind of like, it works both ways. It's not just phone-centric, I think it's place-centric. And that, I think, is one of the changes that's going to happen with it.
The Estimotes beacons, and every company has a different approach, and I think that's why your company is going to be interesting. They actually put a little network on their device that looks at for your phone. And if the Estimote doesn't have the latest software on it, and I walk into a field of Estimotes, my phone starts updating all the Estimotes. And the Estimotes also have a little sensor, a temperature sensor, and I think they're putting a barometer on it and stuff like that. So they can, as they have fields of these around, they can do all sorts of fun things. Why do we need a new network protocol? Why isn't 802.11 good enough for these fields of devices?
Well, one of the things is 802.11, whilst it's very useful today, it's not scalable. It doesn't go to a wide area deployment. You can't go hundreds of miles with 802.11 without a lot of power consumption or with a lot of configuration of that signal. The networks that are going to be here in the future, we call future internet architecture, has to be entirely mobile. You can see the industry now is moving towards that direction. And you need a stable, connected platform, not only mobile on the edge of the network where sensors exist, where smart information, wearables, et cetera, exist, but all the way down to the core of the network. Because as networks progress and internet architecture progresses and also content-centric networks progress, the networks need to spread out wider and become more invisible and give you the ability to wireless, especially when you're looking at delivering connectivity beyond where a telecom footprint may be. It's very ineffectively cost prohibitive to bring cable out to the far edges of the country if there's not enough subscribers there. So having a system that works like radio and allows everything to be connected at high bandwidth and very, very quickly done over an entire area allows you now to connect everything really easily without having to deal with all the different types of transits, such as a data center antenna, wires and cables, and long distance hardware to get beyond the home. So this gives you the ability to be entirely flexible, go into areas where the networks now are not existing, but enable people to have connectivity where they don't have to worry about all that infrastructure in place that captures all of that.
Let's talk about the Sacramento Kings again. They want to do ticketless ticketing. You walk in the front door of the stadium, they know you're there. Your phone just arrived, and the beacons can see each other and can enable that, right? But what are the challenges on making that happen? Is there a security problem with doing that? Where are we going to go with payments and with with the beacons?
So first of all, security. I have a simple response to security. Security at every layer, right? Never feel secure because we live in an insecure world. So there are times when you may intentionally decide not to secure something, but make it a conscious decision, not something that just is an artifact. A lot of the integration of these technologies is going to allow us to bring much richer experiences to customers. Disney's one example, but look at hospitality. So imagine that you're in Marriott's frequent, stayers club. And so you've got your app on their phone, on your iPhone, and because of the M7 chip in the background, even when you close their app, it's still looking for a beacon that might be at the Marriott. And when you walk through the door, they can tell that you have a reservation, and instead of you having to wait while the reception person looks for your reservation, it's popped up right there. So right when you walk up, and furthermore, that person knows where your last stay was amongst the 18 brands of Marriott, right? Knows any special requests that you may have given to one of the other brands, because you may be someone that stays at the Ritz-Carlton, right? So that's the only Marriott branded app you have on your phone, but now you walk into a Residence Inn and it's no different to the infrastructure, okay?
I gave a speech to Expedia, and I told them to put a beacon in every travel thing that they touch, and they found that a very interesting idea, and if they could do that, they sure could unlock a lot of value. Do we, let's say at the Marriott, are we going to have 15 beacons in the Marriott? One for Expedia, one for United, one for the Marriott, on and on?
So my opinion is it's Marriott's property. They get to choose what's put on their property. They may choose to expose those beacons to apps other than theirs, right? And we will probably see that going forward in the future. But the key is that it needs to be secure. And so if you're in retail, you need it secure, otherwise you're enabling showrooming. So Amazon could take their app and know that that beacon is in front of a certain device that's for something for sale, and immediately as soon as you go and are looking at that at the Best Buy, Amazon is showing you what they'll sell it to you for. Walmart announced today that they're going to start putting competitive pricing on more and more of their products online and mobile to show you that they're the lowest price around. Macy's, I met with the CEO of Macy's recently, and in that meeting, he was adamant that Macy's is a data-first company. And two people were having a sidebar, and he stopped them and said, no, 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 no. How many times do I have to tell you we're a data-first company and we will not survive if we don't recognize that data is first? And so
what does that mean?
What it means is that they're looking at their customers, right, from what we call a big data perspective to understand them. And the last point I want to make is that when they do this in retail, they'll do it hospitality as well. As at parks, they'll use what we call SLAM, which is an integration, a sensor fusion of Wi-Fi, it could be vision, Bluetooth, and that's how we get the much closer analysis of exactly where you are, because Bluetooth beacons won't give you a direction, they just tell you a distance, and if there's people between you and them, those people will absorb it. If there's walls, a steel pillar. So it's a new technology, it's nascent, and we're still learning in deployments.
We're out of time. I wish we had more time because, what's that? We're out of time. So thank you very much, guys. It's a great conversation about where beacons are going.
As we bring the next panel up, I always find it interesting. As techie as we are here, we still have to think about the consumer.